Hi everyone, I am here with Mati Greenspan, Senior Market Analyst at eToro, and I'm really excited to talk to him about the Bank of England coming up. We're going to talk about currencies, we're going to talk a bit about crypto as well. Hi Mati, nice to meet you, and thanks for having you on. And what are you thinking right now about the Bank of England?
Hi Adam, hi everybody. Yeah, so we got the Bank of England on Thursday. They're going to have their interest decision and their inflation report. It seems like the market expectation at the moment is for more or less nothing special. So they actually was coming into this meeting because there was no expectation of a rate hike, and then they kind of built the expectation into the market, and the inflation report came out kind of under what they were expecting, and then they kind of had to walk that back. And we saw Mark Carney saying, "Oh, by the way, inflation, with the interest rate rise is not a given here," and then market expectations are back to no rate hike. So we've been all the way and back, and now it seems that we're probably not expecting much, but the pound is at a crucial juncture at the moment. So 1.35 on the charts is a critical level. And it is really an inflection point, so a decision has to be made here over the next few days.
Yeah, I got my. Sorry, I'm gonna go with my bank. I got my Bank of England mug out here and everything today. So it's all, it's been this whipsaw over and over with Carney, where he tries to get hawkish, and then the data comes out and it's soft, and he says, "Oh, I didn't mean everything I said about that rate hike," and they've hiked once, but it hasn't really been in the way that he's laid it out. So you get this tough trade where you have to believe him up to a point when he says, "I want to hike," and then he kind of backs down and the data comes off and everybody rushes out the exit. And it's been such a dramatic fall in the last, I think April 16th was the high, in the last few weeks, that you're at this point now where it's tough to see it falling so much more aggressively or at the pace it's been falling, whereas a bounce, I think we're priced in for like 5% or 10% chance of a hike this week. And then you could have a bounce just if he's hawkish about the meeting even out to August and says, we're going to hike again. But then you're stuck back in that paradigm where he's a tough guy to believe now. His credibility is certainly eroded.
Well, I don't like politicians or bankers, but Carney is certainly one of my favorite. I mean, he is a Canadian after all. And Canadians are always fun, but more than that, he's got a lot of experience. He's also been in a critical situation. I believe that he's saved the world from economic disaster, where there was many different central banks were going on the path of negative interest rates, and Carney basically put a backstop to that and said, the famous quote was, "Negative interest rates are a zero-sum game and a dangerous path." So that at the time that he made that speech, that was basically the end. From that time until now, nobody has or lowered their interest rates further into negative territory. So it does seem to me like his intentions are generally good, but I think that probably, even though he's most likely one of the best central bankers in the world at the moment, he is in an incredibly difficult position, right? He has to deal with everything Brexit and the consequences of. So, he has to deal with everything going on in Parliament, and then the slide of the pound over the last, since the Brexit referendum. It's a really difficult situation, and then as you mentioned, the economic data. There's no forecasting metrics that we can even rely on at this point, because it seems this way, and then all of a sudden, surprise every single time. So, what's he got to go on, really?
Well, let's switch it up and let's talk a bit about the other side of the cable trade. The U.S. dollar. I mean, the story in the last 3 weeks, the dollar has been the top performer each week. A lot of it came out of nowhere. We had this huge net short on the dollar, and it's just torn everything up, and that's part of the cable story. It's not just the backtrack there. The euro's down now. Nearly everything is struggling against the U.S. dollar. Where does it go from here?
Excellent question. Look, the dollar's come down a lot since Trump took office, and that's been in part because he kind of wanted to, or it seems that way, anyways. Uh, at this point, I mean, probably we've seen a lot of those short trades you mentioned unraveling. The question now is if investors get on the other side of that trade and start to buy the dollar because it's cheaper now than it was a year ago. I think that also will be affected by political posturing and the like, and then confidence in Trump himself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where we took a full year really to get to know Trump in the market, and we still are always off balance with Trump. And then the dollar kind of comes out of nowhere, and markets have changed so much even in the last 3 months that it's got everyone reluctant to jump on something, even though it's moved as much as it has in the last 3 weeks, and rates are higher. Growth in the U.S. is still pretty strong, but it has been such a tough trade in the past that people are reluctant to get in, and often that ends up being a good sign. Let's pivot a little bit to cryptocurrencies and talk about some of the things we heard this week. Warren Buffett was very critical of Bitcoin, and Bill Gates was talking about Bitcoin as well. One of the things they said was it was impossible to short, or Bill Gates said, I don't like it because you can't short it. We know that's not true. Why are there so many misconceptions, and kind of what does that say about Bitcoin going forward and crypto in general?
So, in the crypto community, the feeling is that Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, James, right? These are people that have a vested interest to keep cryptocurrencies down. The other argument that they like to use is that it is a highly speculative asset. And yes, it's true. Bitcoin does have a volatility that's not necessarily normal to stable currencies, which Buffett and Gates are used to. They're used to the U.S. dollar, which is, even though the movement over the last few weeks was a strong movement, but we're only talking about like 1.5%, whereas Bitcoin can move 10% or more in a single day. And I have to give it to them; they're absolutely right that there is this volatility. However, what they're missing is, it could not possibly fathom, is if you go to a country like Argentina or Venezuela or Zimbabwe, they don't necessarily have the luxury of a stable economy, a government that they can trust, or a currency that they can use as a long-term store of value. And at that point, when you're living in such a country, the volatility and the possibility that, okay, maybe it'll go down by 20%, 30%, or even 50% over the next year or so, but there's also a possibility when that it can go up 100% or 1,000% in the next year or so. So you start to see that risk as maybe not so bad.
And what about this idea that you can't short Bitcoin?
So I believe that so Bill Gates actually said that he doesn't like so he would short Bitcoin if he could. So first of all, I want to say that it's very simple to short Bitcoin, and I'll be very happy, Bill Gates, if you're listening, I'll be very happy to help you do that. You can go on to eToro. I'll show you the exact button to click. It's not difficult. We've had this option in eToro since 2013. I believe what Bill Gates was referring to was a previous comment from Robert Shiller. Robert Shiller is a well-known Nobel Prize-winning economist who mentioned that he didn't like the aspect about Bitcoin, that it's not easy to short. And when an asset is not easy to short, the market tend to get distorted. However, and just because we've had an easy option in eToro doesn't mean it has been an easy option for the markets. However, Shiller has recently walked back those comments, most notably at Davos, where he said, first of all, whatever you heard in the media about what I said, they kind of blew it out of proportion. And then second of all, he was saying that since then he'd seen the market was going more in a way where it's easier to short Bitcoin. My guess is that Bill Gates either was just stuck on the same soundbite that he'd been using, or that he'd heard or that he simply wasn't up to date with the technological progressions. Neither would really surprise me.
Very cool. Very cool. You know, I want to talk about how people can get to know you a little bit better and know eToro. I'm on Matty's email list. It goes out every day, and it's really a great newsletter you can get. It's light, it's fun, it's very conversational sort of tone. So we're going to put a link in how you can get that and get to know eToro a little bit better, because it's a fun one and it's a good one. So thanks so much for joining us today. Any final thoughts?
Just on the newsletter, it's something that is not like a mailing list that we're collecting from a lot of people, but if you tag me on Twitter or something, send me a private message with your email address. I'll be very happy to add you on personally.
Okay. Thanks so much again for joining us, and good luck with your trading.
Thank you. Great to meet you, Adam, and have a wonderful day.